mentioned sexual shame earlier, and I wanted to dive a bit deeper into that. You said, one of the shames that men have are about their genitals, around their desires. I'd love to hear you unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah, we are taught that our genitals are bad. And often we were caught masturbating to porn at an early age and probably shamed for it and told off. So then it has to be done in private, in secrecy. And generally the programming that we receive is that down there is bad, right? And a lot of men just don't spend enough time with their genitals, like massaging their balls, getting in touch with their prostate, learning how to work the pelvic floor to create traction and energy down there. And we just, same with women. We've got these developed unconscious habits of self-pleasure and the way we reveal ourselves to our lovers. And so it's about unpacking that slowly and developing consistent self-pleasure practices and re-infusing a sense of deep love into the way we treat our genitals.
I feel like women are really on this journey of self-pleasure. I had so many, feminine embodiment, so many feminine sexuality coaches out there, women really gravitating towards this, doing rituals of self-pleasure and so forth. But I often feel like men are struggling to even kind of get close to that sort of level.
Yeah.
And what do you think kind of holds men back from kind of stepping into a more positive sexuality or positive relationship with their own sexuality?
What holds men back from a positive relationship with their sexual? Well, there's a lot of competition out there. Every man is dealing with the primary masculine wounds of either abandonment or inadequacy. And I think many men are terrified of being perceived or rejected because of their sexuality, right? I remember with one of the retreat companies I work with as part of the men's work, there was a day near the end of the retreat where we did a big workshop on sex, and it involved all of the men in a protected room that was walled off in a dark room, but derobing with each other slowly, carefully, and sitting in small pods naked together and just telling their stories, having 2 to 3 minute shares and telling their stories of their relationship with their genitals and what the kind of shame they felt was. And it eventually ended us all in one big circle. But the beauty of this is that we got to expose ourselves to each other with love and care, full acceptance, and tell our story. And every man had a different story that every man could relate to. We internalized so much of the shame down there from stuff that's coming at us from the world. So, because it's our positive pole, it's where a lot of our intelligence is. So it tends to travel down there. So I think we need to unpack that together as men, and then to be individually as men in healthy practice together. So I really encourage my clients to develop really healthy self-pleasure practices, to extend their window of tolerance with when they ejaculate, and to ritualize it so that it's a beautiful act of self-love, as opposed to unconsciously done with your trousers around your ankles to some pixels on a laptop screen. Which we've all done.
Which we've all done and probably will do again in our lives as well.
Yeah, probably.
But I love what you said there about the retreat, taking our clothes off, because for a lot of men, that's a really uncomfortable piece to be naked in front of other men. It's really interesting. I speak to many women in this work, in retreats they run, there's always often sections where the women take their clothes off, and the women sound like, from what I'm told, they're quite looking forward to it, comfortable with it with one another. Obviously, there's always some level of discomfort, but when you ask a group of men to kind of take their clothes off, there is a palpable terror that they're experiencing, this palpable fear and terror that they experience, being naked in front of one another.
Yeah, 100%. It's abject terror, because we're revealing ourselves, and we have such deep sensitivity in our testicles. We've all been kicked in the balls. Holy guacamole, does that hurt? And our balls are on the outside. So like we're very vulnerable in that place, you know? And so revealing ourselves involves, it's going straight to the deepest shadow of men, which is to be shamed. It's for who you are, for what you have, told you're not enough, or told that it's repulsive, or like it's just not beautiful, or that's just, that's hard thing to deal with. And a lot of us as men have been programmed with that by our parents, by early lovers, by culture at large, of just, you know, it's the child that was told to stop crying. That's disgusting. It's the child that was told, put that away. That's you dirty child. You know, it all gets infused in the body. So we have to, you know, we've got to unpack that stuff slowly.
And then we kind of go through childhood and adolescence and sport, and there's the kind of banter and the ridiculing and embarrassment that happens with men. You know, the number of, you know, I played cricket for a lot of years, and the way that guys would talk to each other about each other's bodies, you'd be like, wow, like this is quite weird and cruel. And then we carry that into like adulthood, and if we have to be naked in front of a man, I imagine, you know, a lot of the fear that comes up is like, oh my God, he's going to do what all these other boys have done, or I'm not going to compare to this other guy. And it's just like this rush of fear and anxiety about what's going to happen in this space, even when you tell them like, hey, we're just going to do this, we're going to talk, you guys know each other, we kind of operate with love here. But as the terror that we described is like all this residual stuff that's occurred to them kind of over the years.
Absolutely. And yeah, bullying, being shamed in school. I forgot how brutal school actually is. It's been a while. Locker rooms and changing rooms. Jesus, it's brutal. And this is why we need the dark masculine rituals, like to be out in a field, but around a fire with other men, screaming and howling and like naked underneath the moonlight. You know, that shit is healing. It's important to have these moments where you get in touch with your wild man, and to be accepted for who you are in the tribe. Really, really important. And to also for men to experience a lot of de-shaming and love from their feminine counterparts. You know, I work with a lot of women, and I encourage the women to be trained in cock worship. To worship a man's cock is one of the deepest gifts you can give to him, if you love and respect him, right? Or for these men to go and spend time with a tantrika who can do some body work with him and give him a soft cock massage, or just adore upon his body. So he's receiving this feminine transmission of love and adoration, which every man needs. It's often the missing piece of rites of initiation that isn't talked about. In the past, in highly evolved cultures, men would be taken out into the wilderness by the elders of the masculine tribe, right? Of the men. And then after that, they would be then taken to the temple to spend time with the temple priestesses, the wise women that were carrying these frequencies and codes of erotic mastery. And they would spend time with the men, and the men would get a deep training and transmission from the women as well. I mean, you want to have a healthy society? Those are the two things that young men need.
Yeah. The good men to take the men out and show them a way, and also then women to show them another way, but also show them their own kind of power, you know, for the men to experience this like transmission of power from men as men, and from the women as well, to kind of build that kind of respect for themselves and respect for others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Respect for themselves, respect for the other tribe members, and respect for others. That's character building stuff. And
the self-pleasure practice, because I'm such a fan of this as a way to like rewrite our habitual habit around sex and self-pleasure, because it's not even just self-pleasure, it's sex as well, you know. The way this is one of my sayings, it's like the way we have sex, the way we masturbate is the way we have sex. So if we're used to just like masturbating quickly with no lead up, with just like gonna whack on the porn or whack into my fantasy, get hard, masturbate quickly, 2-3 minutes later, done, and then go off on the rest of my way. Like we're gonna bring that same. It's like I just see it as this, and I have no scientific evidence for this, other than the experience I've had with working with men. Is like you kind of program your body to this. When pleasure starts to be felt, this is how we run with it. This is the script. And then those men bring that same kind of energy into their masturbation that they bring into sex, and kind of wonder why they're not having the sex they want, or they're not, the sex isn't as enjoyable for them or their partners they want. So I see this, the self-pleasure as this way to kind of shift our script around sex, but also, and I'd love to hear your take on this, of like reconnecting with another practice to kind of reconnect to our body and its sensations and our arousal.
Yeah, I love that point you just made about how we self-pleasure is a pattern that we repeat in every area of our lives, especially when we're actually in the bedroom. So we all have a mind-body memory, and if our patterns are of quick release and quick spurts of arousal and just wanting to scratch that itch and release it, that's a lack of containment. And I teach all the men that I work with, like, your ability to hold your life force energy in and your arousal is the same as your ability to hold the energy of the feminine coming at you from all walks of life, from your partner, from everything that's happening around you. So if you can get better at spending time with your arousal and spending time with your erection in loving contact and learning different types of touch and stroke and being with your body, you're going to treat your lover's body in the same way. You're going to learn how to slow down in the act of lovemaking, and you're going to be more attentive. It all starts with the self-pleasure practice. If we can't build a beautiful connection to our own genitals, how are we going to have a beautiful connection to someone else's genitals? So it's just not going to happen. And really teaching men the art of slow penetration, like entering into a woman with deep presence slowly and just holding yourself there without moving or going into thrusting too soon. Just see what happens. That is the deepest moment of presence between two people. And I love it when a man comes back to me and he's like, yeah, you know what? Wow, I felt all these subtle waves moving through her and through me. I felt her relaxing in a way I've never felt before. I felt that I didn't have to start rushing into pumping because I've always thought that that's what a man should do. So it's like we're rewriting the script and the mind-body memory and like you said, to deeper attunement and presence.
Yeah. And just remembering the first time I read about slow penetrations in a book, I've got Tantric Sex for Men, I think, with Diane Richardson, I think it is. And it talks about soft penetration as well. And I remember reading this and I was like, wow, yeah, I guess this is something to do. And then trying it myself and being like, holy shit, like you can just slow down. You can just like do this. You can like penetrate a woman over the course of like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and really just take your time instead of like, what most men are kind of in this rush, this anxiety of like, I want to have sex. I need to make it happen because they're like, it's almost like you said, they can't hold the arousal. It's like uncomfortable in their body. They've never learned to both have arousal and ground it in calm. Like, have those two things together. Like, I feel aroused, but I can be calm. I can stay relaxed. So it's like being able to practice doing that is this, part of our kind of general, I think, like stress response of like, I can feel stress and be calm and be focused and be attentive. But like the slow penetration is like a game changer for you. If you're a man who listens to this, it's something you really have to try. It's just like being really slow, being really deliberate, looking your partner in the eye deeply, feeling them, and not almost like you've got nowhere you need to go, you need to get to, it's moving this kind of goal of getting in and getting out. I think that so many of us unconsciously carry into sex.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love the phrase you just said there, grounding it into calm, feeling all the arousal and being with it and grounding it into calm. It's so relaxing to our partners. It's so relaxing for ourselves. And you can really bring in the dark masculine textures from that place. The way you're penetrating with your eyes, the way you're firmly gripping their body with the intention to devour them, but to devour them slowly, piece by piece. I mean, that's just, I know so many women that are aching for that experience, from their partners. And for any man listening, like this activation of the dark masculine is a real gift for the women, because they have often only encountered the unhealthy version of it. And to encounter the healthy version of it is such a breath of fresh air. Because I know they're starving from it. I just hear from women all the time, like, we're hungry for this energy. Where is it? So got some work to do.